Thank you for having me, the Nigerian Institute of Architects. It's a privilege to be here to speak to fellow members and students and all of that. Well, by way of introduction, unfortunately, I'm supposed to be at the event, but I'm currently, in Kenya for a course, a global CEO course, just trying to learn more about Africa and the world in general. But obviously, this is one place I would love to be, being dear to my heart, and that's why I just want to do this. I just had to do this. By way of introduction, my name is Architect Jide Adekola. I am a practicing architect. I'm also a property developer. But most importantly, just learning from my own background. I schooled in the University of Lagos. I had this push for architecture from secondary school when I used to do my technical drawings and all of that. And it just got me hooked right from GS3 on that creative space where we can begin to create something out of nothing. So I knew quite early what I really wanted to do. But most importantly, it started coming to me later on in life when I did my university. Most times, for those that are students here, you probably normally feel drained when you are, being schooled by lecturers and you're frustrated in architecture school. Thankfully, one or two of those in the industry at that time came to speak to us. And speaking to us, they were able to give us that insight into what's happening with private practice. I remember very well that there was a QS in my in the faculty that taught us about the real deal, really what's happening on site, and that got me very interested. That was one of my best lectures that really gave me the insight into proper construction. And I think I started to see things differently. And then when I started working and just trying to get a bit of experience, it also helped. So looking at all of that, I knew that I wanted to start to create spaces. And I said, okay, let me try and work with some of the best architectural firms in the country. I worked with Adini Ikoka, trained me, really, really chiseled those loose ends. And I also worked with Design Union. And for me, I began to see how several clients are the ones that determine what we design. And we had this particular client at the time that was giving us projects every year. And I realized that, look, who is really the person calling the shots? Is it us, the architects, or is it the man that is paying the bills? And I realized that, as the man paying the bills, he could decide on what to build. And I said, no, that I need to look at what this space is like. So after my training, getting my NIA being registered, registering my company. I said, look, let me just give it a try and see how the property development space is. So I went ahead to the UK to do a master's in property development. And shortly after, I just came back to Nigeria and said, how before I implemented, I asked myself one question. Don't you really want to see how the real estate companies have done this? Because I felt we needed that firm training, not just what we know as architects, but also a broader view of sort of the way things work. So I worked for two of the very well, I would say they were the topmost, but I would say they were the most daring real estate firms at the time, and I learned a lot from them, and that was how I was able to kick off my design firm and also a property development company. And that's what I want to speak to you about today. And just like the slides show, why exactly would you listen to me? I just give a background of my, history so far. I currently run a group of companies called Homework Group. And it consists of subsidiaries, including the architectural firm. And this is part of why I'm talking to you today, because I won't term it a success because I'm trying to get somewhere. But the vision is to make sure that we are our own clients and we can do as many projects as possible as a development company to be able to stand or sustain the architectural firm, and we'll be able to showcase what we do. So let's just kick it off. So this lecture, so to speak, is on design and development. Just the way you hear design and build, I've termed this design and development, and it's basically unlocking the power of vertical integration in architecture. What is vertical integration? Vertical integration is just to say that the end to end of a process having us understand the end to end of a process and being part of that end to end of a process. And I'm sure by the time you hear what I'm saying, you already get to pick that that's really what an architect is. The architect might not take it from the point of inception to the point of sale, but an architect will take it from the point of concept to at least the completion of the project. So if we can do that, what are the earlier parts before the architect comes in, and what are the latter parts after the architect has finished? And it's really just putting this all together and every other thing in between that we don't get involved in. So the whole idea is to have us ask ourselves, why can we not be part of this process end to end? That's getting the funding, getting the finance, being the owner of the project, taking it from end to end till you get to sales, after sales services, facility management, and all of the likes. So I'll just go through the slides. I've told you about myself and why you should speak to me. Now, I just want us to begin to imagine at this point. Think for a minute. Just stop and just have that thought process. Ask yourself, I just want you guys to imagine. I mean, yeah, being architects, you can sort of begin to put it in your headspace to begin to imagine, and say, if you had a grant or a blank check and you're allowed to do any project of your choice or any design, or you can supervise your dream project, and you had no hindrance as regards money, as you have no hindrance as regards capacity, and you can just do the most, how will you feel? Do you know that this is possible? Imagine you had no barriers, imagine you had no obstacles, just that freedom to take your dream project and showcase on your own terms. Nothing diluted, no client telling you what he feels he wants to do as opposed to what you want to do. Just think for a minute. Close your eyes and think for a minute. How will you feel? How many projects do you think you will do? What are the kind of projects you will do? How many floors are the projects? What's the cantilever like? How exactly will you want people to perceive you? What kind of architect do you want to be? Do you want to work with timber? Do you want to work with steel? Do you want to work outside Nigeria? Do you want to build something on the beach? Just dream about it. Now, when you come back to reality, the whole idea is that the only thing stopping you as an architect, where you are not defining it or you are not doing it for a project owner, is if you are the project owner. And that's why we're here today. So, to kick it off, I'll start by giving you a little bit of context and the relevance of what we are speaking about. So, why is it important for architects to take a more active role in property development? We're already the head of the professional team, so to speak. So, if anybody was supposed to be picked to say like who is the best person, I think we're the ones. We have the engineers, we have the electricals. I mean, those that are normally close to that top is probably the project managers that are not architects. But I dare say that we are the best fitted, trained to be able to lead that team. And if you're going to be that best, then why can't we take on a more active role in property development as a project owner? So, what are the benefits of vertical integration? I explained what vertical integration was earlier. So, basically, this is you being the part of the process from start to finish for a property development process, not necessarily just the building. So, by embracing the design and development as a whole, young architects can do the following. One, they can unlock new opportunities. So, what do I mean by that? Unlocking new opportunities will mean that you don't stay in one place trying to poach clients to give you certain jobs. You can actually begin to unlock new opportunities in the areas you want these things to be. Currently, different models have been put in to even help you if you don't have money. And those are like the joint venture models. So you have clients that just have land but they don't have money. You can come in as a joint venture partner and you can say, you know what? You can even put a project together and you bring it to a funder. You also bring it to a landowner and you are the person that owns that project. So you just get a developer's profit, but rather you give the investor or the financier some money, the returns from the project, and you also give the landowner something. You can also get those financiers end to end if you want to buy the land. But the whole idea is that I want you to start to open your mind and begin to think of how possible it is for you to take on this entire process. It is very possible. So it's going to unlock new opportunities for you. So basically, instead of sitting down waiting for portfolios to come your way, you can create portfolios yourself and take it around. B, to increase earnings, your earning potential. So basically, because you're waiting for clients to come and give you some jobs, right now it's easier for you because you step in there and you take charge yourself and you can actually earn. You don't even need to earn it immediately. You can earn it at the end of the project. But the point is you own the project so you can take those processes out. And when the financiers are giving the money, putting the money in, or you get investors in, you can pay yourself as the architect, being that principal architect that designed the job. So you are the place to design the job pro bono, take it round, and try to get people to lock into the project. This is exactly what developers do with your drawings. Because what developers do is they take your drawings and they take it to sometimes when they meet you for drawings, they just pay you that initial money and they are going around looking for people to invest even after you have designed. And we're busy there saying, oh, my fees, my fees, my fees. And this person is taking the bull by the horn, taking the risk, going to meet those that can put in their money, sometimes going to meet the buyers up front. And some of those buyers can drop that money, and that's part of what they pay you as a fee. So I feel that it's important that we understand this end-to-end process so that you can earn, you can increase your, and that means you are in charge and you can decide what you earn. Architects can increase their earning potential by taking on development roles and retaining a stake in project profits. Another one is enhance creativity and innovation. So now there's no boundary anymore. You want to you would design what you feel is right. You design where your creativity stands, and you are able to take it end to end, if you understand what I mean. So it's very important for us to learn through that and understand exactly how this works. Now, actualize true and undiluted expressions. So basically, you have something in your mind, say like the design that is just on the right of the screen, and you say, look, I don't want any limitations. The person that will tell me, sorry, I don't like terraces. People don't use terraces anymore. I think it's just, I think if you put terraces, people don't come out to their terraces, so block out the terraces. And you're asking your client, let's leave this. It's gonna help the aesthetics. And he's looking at you and wondering, oh, why are you so cocky? I said this is what I want, and you are now forced to do it. We stick to so much arguments like this with our client who is paying the money. And then at the end of the day, if we don't get our way, to them, it looks like we're being funny. But to us, it looks like I'm getting the best for you. But here, at this point, you can make up your mind. You can do it the way you want to do it. Increase the efficiency. So basically, you've looked at everything end to end functionality, every part of the building. You've been able to check on everything yourself, and you're able to do things better because you're allowed to express yourself 100%. Now, improved project outcome. Now, at the end of the day, you're looking out for a project and you want to make sure that it stands the test of time, the right materials are used, the projects are being finished at a certain time. You don't want to compromise quality. You might be restricted with how much the project is going to cost, but then again, but you are in full control. So basically, that's I'm just giving a context to this entire sort of training so that you can see where those benefits lie. And vertical integration is very important because imagine somebody else making these decisions and you have to now be the one to just take the back seat. We are already the leaders. We are already the head of the pack of professionals. What is left? Those things that are left is what I'm telling you as architect that we can grab onto. And Nigeria has opportunities. Instead of us complaining, trying to chase the architects that come from other countries, you can start to go and do designs in other countries. Currently, we're about to start something in Tanzania. We've done something in Gambia. We've done something in Ghana. We've done something in Liberia. We're trying to see how we can go global. Why? Because you're taking the bull by the horn and you're trying to make a difference. So in the next slide, we'll be looking at the current state of architecture in the property development process. So architecture is a very vital part. We already know our role, we're the head of the team. We lead the site. If you check the 3 stages, all of us know where we lie or where we have our talent. Is it in design or concept sketch designs? Is it in construction and documentation? The technical ones that can sit for months and do technical construction documentation drawings, and how exactly, almost like building the building before you actually build. So you actually draw all the lines and have all the details. Or are you the one that likes to supervise? Most times you see architects, you need to profile yourself. Most times you see architects that are good with the initial concept design stage, and then they also like to just move on to supervision. For me, I feel you need to be able to know all parts, but then again, after knowing all parts, you can now pick that your niche in architecture generally. But basically, when you figure this out, you need to understand where you fit in the development process. You need to even understand what that process is end to end, because we are just coming in at a certain stage. So we're going to talk about the challenges facing architects. One of it is a limited career projection. So basically, as an architect, we go into firms, we learn for 2 years, we try and get our registration, which is very good and very needed. Obviously, I won't expect you to just jump at being an architect and a developer just like that. It will be good for you to gain that professionalism, gain some kind of experience, understudy, have mentors, and get it right, so that you're able to take it as a leader properly. So this is not to say just jump probably after school and start doing this. No, you need to understand the rudiments. You need to still go through that training so that you can lead properly, because leadership is not just by thinking, oh, I can do it, but you need, I did probably about 5-6 years learning as an architect before I went on my own. So I won't preach to other architects not to do the same. You will learn. You have wealth of. You'll be able to gather that wealth of knowledge and be able to stand in there and do what you need to do. So another challenge is low earning potential. We've mentioned this before. You start off, you might not be earning as much. You are only earning based on the jobs that come in. And people feel that, they look at their counterparts and say, oh, these guys are earning more than I am earning. That's sort of the problems that some of us sort of have. Lack of control over project outcomes. So in as much as we are in charge of the team, if the project owner doesn't give us that complete leeway, we actually don't have full control. And something you design so well might end up being built, but not being built to the standard to which you have put it there. So these are some of the challenges that architects face. Now, the most important part that I will bring out is the traditional silos. We always work in those in those silos, and we don't, and as we work in silos, we end up doing things individually, and that knowledge is not spread out. So architects, developers, and contractors often work in separate silos, leading to inefficiency and missed opportunities. So basically, your contractor, we have contractors that will say, oh, we've gotten the drawings from the architect. Let's go ahead to build what we're building. We don't need his help. He's not supervising. We don't need him to supervise so that he doesn't charge us his money, or we call him when we feel we have a problem. Or you see the developer work in silos where he engages you to a certain stage and doesn't even put you in the know when he's going ahead, or he decides to do concept sketch design and takes the design elsewhere for construction documentation. Basically, they're just discussing with you at the concept stage, and once they get drawings for approval and all that, you're left alone. It is not your choice to stick there. It is their choice to let you stay in or not to. And that's why it's important for you to be the one that will make the choice. So it's important that we don't look at this alone. That now you are in the game end to end. So basically, you can bring in that your knowledge, you can bring in that your expertise end to end. It will shock you how much an architect should even get involved in facility management. Where are you locating the facilities? How are they using it? When you're going to pitch to the financiers, is even the architect that is probably the best person to pitch for you if you were designing for a developer. But imagine you going to pitch for yourself. Owners will know that, first of all, you owe them that duty of care. And as an architect, the way you're going to explain it and the way you're going to break it down, who else is the best to convince those that are financing? Now, 3, the need for integration. Integrating your design and development improves project outcomes, increases efficiency, and enhances creativity. So basically, we are the best to take this on from end to end. So I'll just move on to the next slide where I just want to give you an example and use a case study. And for me, at this stage, I'm going to use myself as a case study. I'm going to use what we've been able to achieve as a case study. And that will help you to sort of understand it better. And this is what we live for. This is why we are saying this, because we feel that we can use this to help some student in university right now that is not sure of what he's doing, or he needs some kind of direction, or even architects, young architects that have just started their career, and even those veterans or those that have stayed on. I've had many established architects ask me, Jide, why don't you come and explain what you did to the association? That's why I'm here today. Because at the end of the day, this sort of knowledge, if it's not shared, then are you helping the next generation? So I'm passionate about making sure that I've sort of trained younger ones to even start this up, because how do you want to change the skyline of your country or your state if you don't take charge? So basically, I started off with, just like I said earlier, HDC Architects, called Homework Design and Consultants Limited. We started years ago. That I got registered as well. I started doing designs for others, and then also try to just pick up one or two things until I had the courage to start a development on my own. What did I do? I first of all set it up as a development company, and then I tried to look for finance. So my first project, I decided that I didn't want to just make a kill. I just wanted to be able to showcase what I can do. So I took the drawings, obviously pro bono, went to meet a landowner, and he had seen some of my works before, and he was able to take that risk and say, yeah, I'll give you my land. You build me one unit. I was going to build 4 units. I was going to give him 1 unit and some cash. I did not have that cash, to be honest. But when he agreed and put pen to paper, I then went to meet somebody to fund. And I took the same proposal to him, told him all about myself, what I can do, and all of that. And then he was able to, as at that time, probably 2012, he gave me about 45 million naira. So I showed them a lot of transparency. I said, look, you don't have to give me the money. We're going to spend it directly on the project. This is the percentage I'm going to give you back, but I want this project to come alive. So I wasn't really looking at the profit. I just wanted it to be done on record time. We were able to set it up and start off the project. Now, remember that the development company is now floating, and the designs have been done, not paid for, but at some point in the project, it will be paid for. But I was involved with looking for the funding, going ahead for approval, starting the process, trying to get the vendors, the contractors, was able to pull off the 4 units. It wasn't that easy, but by the time I got to past the foundation, I now started to take those same proposals and put it in a very nice brochure format and started sending it to people. And I got a friend in Shell Petroleum, who called his cousin, called another friend, and they were able to join in to buy 2 of the units. So by the time they started paying, 40% advance, clearly my investor was very happy that, oh, we're already seeing money. And so they started putting that into the account. And then the third person now shows up almost towards the end of the project. And in less than 6 months, this project was done. Little did I know that as we were doing that project, this client of mine, because I was sending constant periodic updates. Now, I want you to understand how this goes. As an architect, you can imagine how my project updates will have come out to be. Just the way we have architects instructions, and we have drawings, and the way we write our reports to clients. I was now writing the same reports to these girls that are buying. And they knew that I was sending those reports every Thursday. And I did not know that this guy will open it in his office, and it was an open office. And a couple of Shell staff will now gather around and look at the projection. And this is what encouraged them. So every Thursday, they just gather around, how far your project to your developer, what's going on? Has he sent anything today? And I didn't know this was going on till he finished the project. So as soon as he finished the project, about 3 of his friends just came in and said, look, where's this guy? Does he have another project? We're ready to plug in. And that's how this just kicked off, because they gave us the money up front. And in this case, I even went to buy a land, and I went to build again. And that's how it started to grow. Now, why am I sharing this information? As an architect, The things that we're putting in as add-ons, the things I had to learn on top of being an architect, is just an icing on the cake for us as professionals. So this is what helped to kickstart. And what we kickstarted in 2012 has given rise to almost 400 housing units, different type of developments. You can see the pictures on the screen. We just selected a few. The one in the middle there is a future project. So I used to look at what I used to do when I was working for the architectural firms that I worked for. And I promised myself that one day we're going to build skyscrapers. We are getting there. I remember when I was celebrating 3 floors, I was celebrating 5 floors, I was celebrating 7 floors, I was celebrating 8 floors. Now we're going to 15 floors. Basically, that trajectory on the same development. And as you're doing the development, you're showcasing your architecture, you're able to learn on the job, you're able to feed other people, you're able to train other architects, you're just doing a lot for the economy. And you get that true fulfillment. So I just picked a few of the projects so that you see a 6 floor unit that we're doing in Onikoyi. We've done stuff in Banana, Lekki Phase 1, detached unit, semi-detached unit, and a commercial project which I'm sure was already showing on the screen, but we're going to see it further down when we're going through the other presentations. So basically, a 6 floor commercial building. So you're beginning to expand and move. And you see, anytime you pitch with other developers, you would always stand out because you are an architect. You are the one that knows the end to end. You are the one that can understand what the buyers want and give it to them. You know what the investors want and give it to them. You just need a little bit of skill that you're not trained for in school. And I dare say it is important we start to bring this into the curriculum or informal trainings that could help you to be able to achieve that in business, in emotional intelligence, in negotiation, in anything that would just enhance, partnerships, you know, so that they don't look at us as those cocky architects that, oh, they just want to do what they want to do. I mean, now you are your own boss. You understand? So, I mean, this is a success story that I could find, and I can tell you two, three, four other architect developers that I know that have been able to achieve this. So it's important we look at this and we get inspired. What we want to push in you is inspiration. If most of the graduating architects come out, get their training from the best of the best architects, and go and start doing all of this, just imagine what's going to happen in Nigeria in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years. Imagine what's going to happen in Africa. We're the giant of Africa. So as I tell you that we're in Liberia's, and I want others to do the same so you can showcase your work, and I dare say all over the world. Yes. Based on that, I mean, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I think we need to just move into what are the lessons I learned through this process so that you don't have to go through the same hurdles and you can start from where some of us have gotten to already. So, what did I get out of this? I learned how to take risks. This was learned from one of the development companies I worked for. The man was daring during a very bad economic downtime. He was actually borrowing to build a massive estate in Abuja. I was asking myself, everybody is building at this time. Why are you doing this? And all of a sudden, I saw that he was able to do this massive project that looked unbelievable. And there's something about risk you need to understand. The larger the risk, the more the opportunity, the more the reward. So you need to understand this. And if we're too risk averse, we might not be good for business. So it's important for us to understand that. And how do you do this? If you take that little risk, remember the first project I told you about, it was just a little risk. I mean, as for the way I'm looking at it, then as at that time it was large. Oh, borrowing 45. What if I can't give these guys money back? But hey, at the end of the day, there was a reward. And then guess what? Going into the next one, I wasn't as afraid. So it's important that you understand that and you begin to level up and take things further from there. There's a lot of leverage you can get from you being an architect. There's also leverage that money does. Money will give you a lot of leverage. So basically, you need to learn about finance, but it's just important that you're willing to take. I learned how to take risks. You also learn flexibility, so you don't stay in that cocoon of yours that you think a certain way. You are flexible. Today, there's a lot happening with technology, AI, and all the likes. And if you don't follow the trends and you stay rigid, you might not be able to. I mean, the firms are working remotely now. Firms are working, they're having remote architects working remotely. They are being able to train their architects. They are being able to do different things. They're learning. The world is now a global village. So it's easy to get some information that on a normal day you wouldn't have been able to get easily. So flexibility, very important in looking at the end to end and the vertical integration. You need to be able to unlearn and relearn. So basically, you are an architect, but do you know about business? Why don't you learn from those that have done it? Why don't you learn from those that know about business? Why don't you humble yourself and try and understand how business works? We need to look at the numbers. So if we're doing a project and we're thinking of all the fancy designs, but it doesn't add up eventually. And even if you sell the project, you're not making a profit because the architect did something grand, but you cannot make money out of it. It won't make any sense. You're just there to be able to deliver the desire of your client. And at the same time, some clients, their desire is not the money they're going to make out of the property. It might just be the fact that they're just going to be living there and this is what they want luxury wise. So you know it and you design as such. But this will teach you how to begin to look at the numbers and count your numbers very well. So when you see that it's not working, you now begin to look backward, integrate value engineering, and look at the best way you can make it happen. I also learned how to take full charge of your future. You are not relying on anybody to bring more food on your table. You are the one that is making those decisions. You are what has made you what you are today. So basically, I learned to take full charge. Then you can define the skyline and make a true impact. So basically, I have a six-floor building around Admiralty Way. Before it was a residential development that was just ground plus one. But I go past today and at least I've added a footprint on that point. I have a six-floor unit in Onikoyi. The same thing. You're adding 1 square meter at a time, one building at a time, one plot at a time. And if all of us can put our hands together as architects and begin to create this, we'll do it faster, we'll do it better. Architects are preferred because of our professionalism and our duty of care. We owe our clients a duty of care. We're the ones that tells you about the 6 month defect liability period and the 2 rainy seasons. We're the ones that know all the policies, we know all the procedures, we understand what it is when the approval guys tell us what the limits are. We understand it perfectly. So we are best and preferred. If I stand and I say I owe you a duty of care, that means when you move into this building, you can beat your chest and say, well, I think I'm comfortable to stay in here. So it's not just one businessman that just decided to start building. It's a professional. One of the things they look at us for is the fact that we are architects and we have a license and we have a body that regulates us. So the person feels this person can't run away, particularly if he's licensed. He won't want to do a shoddy job because his name, his reputation is on the line. So that in itself is something. Focus on the numbers while being creative. So if you were just the person sustainability, energy efficiency, ESG, it doesn't really have to be expensive. When they say sustainable development, it's not just about solar panels. You can build inexpensive and still show your creativity. So basically, this is just to make you understand that once you start to think about it as a business, you need to understand the numbers. You need to know that, oh, I'm creative, but within this budget, I can create something. I can show my creativity. But it's more importantly, most of us just love the fact, we sleep, we eat, we breathe architecture. We are sleeping and we wake up and say, oh, that cantilever, I hope they did it well. It is only architects that have that innate. It's like your baby. So the buyers see it beyond you just building something. This guy, this is passionate about this, and that in itself markets it for you. I'll tell you a story. When I was working for one of the development companies, I just noticed that the marketers always used to bring the buyer to my office. And I thought it was just because I was talking about the architecture of the estate and all that. But what I realized over time is that because I was the one engaging these guys, they always wanted to buy at the end of the day. So actually, they were using me to market, and I didn't know. And that's how meeting, they just mentioned, oh, we just take them to Architect Jide. And once we take them to Architect Jide, once something just happens and they come back and they say they are buying. And that's how you understand that you are probably the best marketer. for your products. You would explain that building better than most of the marketers. You'll be technical about it. You will tell them the features you put in there. You put them in there as though it's you that is living in there instead of doing a shabby job. So this was just tease us and see if we could think through this very well and understand the lessons learned through my journey. And I'm just hoping this can inspire young architects, existing architects, inspire aspiring architects to see how we can truly take charge and really change the skyline. So in overcoming barriers and challenges, they actually, all that I've explained now is not as if it's going to be easy and dandy. The most important part of it is that we need to understand what those obstacles are, and we need to know how to mitigate such hurdles and just try and see how we can avoid such hurdles. Financing is a major one. In fact, you ask yourself today, okay, so all these things that Architect Jide is saying, how am I going to build this fancy building? It's costing 1 billion, it's costing 2 billion. How am I going to raise it? Those that raised it don't have 10 heads. And I just told you that you are better equipped, particularly if you can add some of these additional skills to what it is that you do as an architect. So financing is important. How do you understand? I'm trying to work out, even at this stage, work out a course with maybe London School of Economics or somewhere that I can learn financing, even with all that has gone down. Because I've realized that everything we do just lies in the back of finance. And if we can understand it properly, we can even do what we're doing better. So financing is key. It's a big obstacle. I don't have the money. I can't build it. I just give you a story of how this whole thing started. Where do you get funds from? How can you can get stakeholders that can say, oh, we are ready to back you up as an architect and we'll give you equity. By the time you start to think about it, what's private equity? What is debt? People think debts are bad. They're good debts, particularly if you're using it for projects like this. It's not like you're using it as a credit card to buy a car, but rather you're using it for a project that you know is going to be lucrative. What is private equity? Nowadays, there are different funding options, fractional ownership, co-investment. It's happening all over the world. So you begin to think and understand financing. Risk management is another common, you know, I told you that you can do it afraid. I told you that, oh, most of us are risk averse. You don't want to take that risk. That man that built the 10-story buildings, he doesn't have 2 heads, he doesn't have 10 heads. So it's for us to look at the risk and understand how to manage risks. Because this is one of the issues that gets us afraid, and we'll rather just stick to the point of chasing. And you see, you are even in a better position when you do your own jobs, because when you're now doing it for third parties, which we do, you find it a lot easier. You are more confident and you can speak to the situation and you can charge as you want to charge. Firstly, they can see jobs that you've already done. They can see you've done it for yourself. So you're in a better position to be able to achieve what is it that you want to achieve. Regulatory compliance, yes. We're probably in a country where so many things happen, but as architects, you understand better. You probably will relate with the regulatory bodies better. You know the end to end. You're the one that advises the client what he needs to do, assessment, stage completion, speaking to LAPSCA, speaking to LASPA. Some of these experience you have is already a selling point for you. So again, it also a stumbling block in sometimes because people feel that you have too many regulatory bodies that come and stop you from working, but you have those that understand. You have those that, if you sit with, you can explain it better. But then again, these are the things that come from, oh, I don't want this, I don't want stress. I don't want Lagos State, they are just disturbed. I don't want stress. That's why some of us can just step back. But meanwhile, we do this for other people. Learning fundamentals of business. Most architects do not understand business. And it's not if the banker is going to for an MBA, if the engineers are going for an MBA, if management staff are going for an MBA, administrative staff are going for an MBA, as an architect, there's nothing stopping you from doing an MBA. Because even the architecture you're doing is a business. That is one of the things that break us. That's one of the things that don't allow us to just blend. We need to understand business. Even if it's just for the sake of understanding the business so that you can design for businesses. It just makes sense for us to know this. And then lack of flexibility. Some of us are just too rigid. But just too rigid, we have ideologies. Oh, the designs must be like this. The world is changing. Let's be flexible. particularly because we're going to be dealing with other professionals. We're going to be dealing with buyers. You can't be telling a buyer, oh no, take it or leave it, or no, if it's not like this. You need to understand that sometimes they might not understand the dream that you're putting forward because it's still a work in progress. So it takes time to convince those same people that you see this idea that I have, this is what I'm looking at. So those are just a few barriers and challenges that I just picked out for you to understand and see how this goes. So strategies for success. To be able to mitigate against some of these um, issues and challenges, we need to build partnerships. That's why I said you need some skills. Build partnerships with funders, build partnerships with other professionals. You can actually have a team of mechanical, electrical, structural, and engineers that you build that team together. And you say, all my projects, we are the ones going to do it. And any third party, we also get to do the same thing. Seek mentorship. I mean, I'm here trying to give this out. I've mentored a lot of people. We have other architects that are developers that can mentor you. You can even get mentorship from those outside your profession. As I said, you need to learn business. You can learn that from a businessman. Even one of your clients can be a business mogul. He can be a mentor to you. So don't just take and you might have all of this around you. It's important for us to open our eyes. I hope this is able to inspire you to open your eyes and begin to look at the opportunities around you. Developing new skills. You need to understand what's emotional intelligence. Some of us don't have it. What is business? What's business about? What's the end to end of business? Do we understand how work is? Do we understand how businesses are run? Do we understand how to build for the rainy day? Do we know how to build structure in the business so it will outlast you? Most firms today break up once the principals are tired and retired. Can we learn how to build those businesses? If we're doing developments, is it possible for us to sustain the architecture to even go further than ourselves? These are questions I want us to trigger and ask ourselves. And we begin to now figure out what we want. There are many other success strategies. I just don't want to bore everybody here. I just want to make sure that I've come here to see if I could just inspire you and just take something in you to understand that how can we be in a profession where we are building something out of nothing? We're creating spaces and we cannot take charge. We cannot take charge. I don't think it's right. I mean, I've lived it, and I don't think I'm going to. I think I just want to carry on as many people as possible to be able to follow this dream. So, what are the recommendations? There's a strong potential for architects to shape the built environment and create a lasting impact faster and more effective by adopting this inclusive strategy. So the truth is that as architects, we'll probably be doing things faster, more professional, better, because we don't have a project owner that is slowing us down. We know what we need from this word go. We can plan from the beginning. We've already seen it. I dare say if all of us architects in this room dream of a new Lagos or dream of a new Nigeria, we already have the new Nigeria in our head before it actually comes out to happen. And we keep, most of the buildings I'm doing, I've already seen it happen. So most people are just driving past and they don't really understand. And that city is already in our heads. As we walk around, as we sit here today and we take all our brains together, we have the better Nigeria, we have the better Lagos. We're just walking around with it. What are we doing about it? Some of us know what's going to happen in the next space, in the next empty plot. Sometimes we even know it better than the actual project owner because he gave it to us to envisage for him. The hotels. Eco Atlantic is in the head of different architects. They know what they're thinking about. How much more us now being those that are able to put hands together and make this happen. Design and development process should be taught in schools and students given practical experience or given practical experience. They need to experience opportunities while in school. I'll give you an example. I told you about the QS that told us that gave us the practical stories. We enjoyed that class. It was almost at our final year. We enjoyed it. He was just telling us how they pay for cranes per day. And it just seemed as if this architecture school that we are in, I don't think I understood the construction space like this. One of our lecturers, who was also practicing, took us to Abuja to go and see projects he's working on. John Godwin took us to some Julius Berger projects. It inspired us. Even some of us that wanted to give up, we now understood how things worked. And that's why it's important for some of us that are even in this industry to go back to the schools and show this to the young ones so that they don't get discouraged, that they are encouraged. Let us see how we can apply ourselves and give ourselves as an example, give our projects as an example for some of these students to come in and see. Let them see what's possible. Let them understand exactly how this works. Because the future is not just us coming to be architects and living, is we are trying to live an environment. We travel most of the time. We can bring all those things we see outside, we can bring them and even better. We can also create our own indigenous designs and actually implement them. Young architects should take the leap and pursue opportunities in property development, not diluting your profession in any way. You are the leader of the pack. You are the leader of the team. You should be able to take this through end to end. So, with this, I just hope I've been able to inspire you, right? And I just talked to you about some of the intending channels that we're using to push this movement, trying to use academy, we're trying to partner with NIA. How can we sit down and, probably had to sponsor a couple of students to come for this event, sponsoring workshops, looking at my friends that are already also developers and even other architects, and see how we can create workshops for those that are coming behind and even those that are in the profession, because some of them will not come out and tell you this is their issue. But I mean, we're there to help. Industrial training, industrial attachment. Oh, take some students. We've taken some students from secondary school, we've taken some students from university. Come and see what we are doing. Just come on a side tour, sponsor them, let them see what this is about. Mentorship. Are we mentoring people? Can we show them the way? The more you see it happen, the more it's possible for you guys to do this. Collaboration is also key. We're always competing against each other. We're in a country where we don't like how things are going through. We can build infrastructure ourselves. We can design some of these things and take those projects to the government and say, look, we want to fund it. We're going fully into finance, looking at how to crowdfund for certain projects, road projects, hospital projects, school projects, to show the government how things can be done. So collaboration is very key. We don't need to fight each other and start looking at ourselves as competition. By the time we begin to collaborate, help the younger ones, see how we can make things happen, we'll have a better country. you know. So I hope I've been able to. I'm sorry I couldn't make it to come, but I just want to say thank you for your time. I hope you've been able to, pick a couple of things from here and see us as architects. We can push the narrative for design and development. I just hope this has inspired you guys and. Thank you for having me, the Nigerian Institute of Architects, and I hope to see you all some other time. Thank you very much.